pleasure. It's good to be back again. Last year I was here and talked about how we collected data on readers in third-party reading systems. Today I talk about how we built our own reading system to collect data on readers. And everything I'll show you, or most things, are about ebook samples. This is very specifically to understand how people engage, read samples, and hopefully convert to buying books. This is what's about today. Because it's about samples, we set out to say, how can we make reading and sharing an ebook sample as easy as YouTube? The way people share and view clips on YouTube is so efficient, so without effort. How can we do that for books? That was our mission. So we didn't want people to have to install any app and also not to download any files. That's why we call this Readium in the cloud. You don't download a file and then read it in the browser. You never see a file as an end user in this system. And what is the framework, how we expect users to engage with it? Someone recommends a book or the publisher puts out a post and say, here's a great book, here's the link. And literally with one single click, we want the reader to be inside the book. That's all it should take. 10 years ago, Amazon said, get your book in 60 seconds. And so we set our goal 100 times faster, 0.6 seconds, 600 milliseconds. Ideally, it would be 60 milliseconds, which is instantaneous to the human perception. That's not possible today, but we're proud we are beating a second by a good margin. It'll be a bit difficult down here in this bunker, but at least on the Wi-Fi you should manage, and if you're outside on a 3G and 4G network, you will get it to about that speed. And I encourage you to try it out. All those links are live. There's a French version, English, which is commercial book. The French is just a classic. We have Spanish, we have German, we have Catalan, and we have just put out Dutch yesterday. Thanks, Hub, for helping. And the next one coming is Danish shortly. So we've been rapidly localizing it. And please use these links. Pay attention to the capitalization, it matters. Because this is about samples and extremely fickle users, we set ourselves to design the simplest possible user experience, or so we thought. And so we tried to make all the settings really simple and with few choices. Publisher's font, large, sans serif, larger, smaller. Don't overload the user with too many choices. It's obviously fully responsive, so you can read it on a PC, on a mobile, on a tablet, always consistent. Also, never let the user guess how to reach something. On Libby, I think you have to know that you have to click in the center of the book to get your settings. Here, we always have the settings menu visible. And if on the PC, if you don't know where to click, there are chevrons. This is how you page forwards, backwards. We always tried, never let the user guess how to get something done. But above all, this is also about getting people to discover books and buy the books. So at the end of each ebook sample, we put in a link, publisher defined. Do you now want to buy this book? And put in affiliate links and others to follow through if you actually purchase it. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of leakage because ebooks also promote print books at the end of the day. You may discover a book through a sample in ebooks and then just walk to the local bookstore and buy the print editions. Ebooks in this case supports both use cases, and it's a good vehicle for getting people interested, even if they are, by inclination, print readers. Now, I said for us it's all about data and analytics, and so we put a lot of emphasis on collecting data on how people read. How many people will open the link? How many then progress to reading at least 2 minutes, 5 minutes, finish the sample? And how many people convert through to buying? And one of the reasons we are so keen on this is because the original purpose is how do we optimize marketing campaigns? This is an example from our classical test reading campaigns as I presented last year in Berlin. We test books for publishers months before publication, give them a custom complementary copy, and they read in third-party reading systems. And for each of these campaigns, we have to recruit test readers beyond those we have access to because they're in different genres. And so sometimes we need 1,000 extra volunteers, 2,000, and we use paid social media to find them. And you could use Facebook and the cost per click of getting people in. But as this example shows you, those click data can be quite misleading. We had posts here that seemed very good at getting people to click, but they didn't read the book after that. They weren't converting well to actual readers. And other posts that were maybe a little bit more expensive, those really pulled the readers in. So of those 10 posts I'm showing here, we got more than 500 readers just from one single post. And that was the second one in the upper row. It wasn't the cheapest, but it was the cheapest cost of acquisition per reader. And we wanted to take this system of being able in real time to see how people read when we advertise and bring it into a world of samples so that samples could also be used to understand how do I effectively recruit readers. Marketing is a bit alien to publishers today. They rely on the retailers, bookshops, but increasingly it's important to find that audience and find those first 10,000 readers. And that's what we wanted to achieve and help publishers with. Here's a different example. By the way, you may wonder why you don't see covers in all of these posts. Most of these tests had A/B cover tests involved. So we were deliberately not showing you the cover because when you clicked through, half the audience saw one cover and the other half saw a different cover. And we were measuring how the cover influenced your reading behavior. And it influences a lot. People judge books by the cover, and we can objectively measure that. And this is why you don't see covers in these posts. Ironically, sometimes very atmospheric posts are better at recruiting readers for a book than showing the cover we found. In this particular case, actually, the image is identical, and we only changed the keywords of how we try to advertise on Facebook, and even that alone can make a huge difference. But it turns out the story is actually a little bit more complicated. There's a plot twist. We thought people read samples, ebook samples, in a very particular way, and it turns out we were not entirely right. Because actually there's very, very little known about how people read book samples. There's almost no literature on that matter. There's almost a secret life of readers that's waiting to be discovered. And so when we launched in March and started collecting data around it, we were in for a surprise. How many people opened it but didn't actually progress beyond the cover image? Up to 50% of people were gone even before reaching the second page. Some people got lost in front matter. And then also very surprising, more people bought the book than actually finished the sample. So people must have been converting to purchasing even before getting to the end. This was also a little bit startling. So we started looking at this. Into what kind of black hole are they falling and why? Why are they disappearing? Why are we not seeing them behaving quite the way we thought they would? And so one of the first things we noted is, depending on the context where you come from, people are more inclined to scroll or to swipe. Now, out of the box, we set the book in one of the two configurations. And with the simple user interface, we assumed you would find and reset it what your preference was. But people coming out of Facebook or Twitter or Instagram have no patience whatsoever. You can't expect them to spend an extra second or two to find your settings menu and rechange it. So we've, in the next iteration of this cloud reader, which we've just launched, the fourth one yesterday, put in intelligent gesture recognition. So we now watch if you're swiping or if you're scrolling and reset the menu for you. So you don't have to do anything. We're just watching what you're actually doing and changing the book and the settings around so that you don't say, oh, this book isn't working, I only see the cover. We have to get you to the second page, and very, very fast. And so it's a form of accessibility because we're exposed to readers who've never seen the reading system before, and have no patience, and we need to make sure they actually get into the ebook. If they're gone, we don't see them again. Another thing we found is sometimes people just come in because they see a cool image, just of something brief, and they don't even know what the book is about. So we change the second page of the book dynamically to give you the book's description, to remind you, why should you read this book? And this is also something we A/B test. What is the best pull line? What is the best message to keep someone reading such a sample and continue? And we stole also a little bit from Medium the idea to tell people how long this sample is. Are you getting 2 minutes worth of reading or 20 minutes worth of reading? Because if you come off your social media stream, you might not be willing to invest 20 minutes and you want to put it in later. So we have to set expectations. And then we also put in a button that helps you skip all that front matter in the book and go straight to the first page of the narrative. It's something that Kindle does automatically, but the way we get ebook samples from publishers, of course, all the print front matter is in there, but people don't have the patience for it. And we are currently measuring how much we can get conversion rates up and how we can stop the leakage in the funnel based on this iteration, always observing the reader and changing the reading system to make sure we keep them engaged rather than going back to cute kitty posts on Facebook or over to Netflix or similar. The other thing we noticed and are now starting to systematically test with the cloud reader, because it's so flexible and fast to change, what is actually the optimum size of an ebook sample? It turns out no one really knows. It's not been measured. Everyone says samples are great for selling books, but should you give people 5 pages or 50 pages? It's not been measured. And the first data indicates it also matters what context you're in. If you come through SEO onto a publisher's webpage, you're probably looking for that book specifically, and you're very far advanced in your purchase decision. And to convince and really hook you, we maybe should give you a bigger book sample. If you're in social media mode with a very short attention span, we probably just want to give you something short and then maybe find another way of hooking you later. But that is a hypothesis. And now we are trying to systematically measure how do we optimize conversions against ebook sample size, either based on how many people convert to clicking and buying the book. But because there's leakage, we also look at how many people at least spend 5 minutes or more in the book, so that we get a sense, do they engage with the book, and are we pulling them into the story of this book? So a lot about this, we thought this was a tool to measure conversion of social media posts of campaigns. And we discovered we had to take a step back and say the whole system needs measuring. What is actually the right way of getting people to discover book and get hooked on books? So it provides us a system also to optimize samples and optimize our own reading system. And we had to throw out some of our assumptions about user experience design for a cloud reader or a web reader because people were not behaving the way we thought they would expect. Everything I've showed you so far is mostly novels, but the cloud reader and analytics is about more than just novels. STM and academic books, here's an actual example from MIT Press. That sample has 150 images in it. Not a problem. Nice reflowable book. You can serve it up mobile, still achieve the same speeds. Obviously not all images load in the first go, but by the time you get through the pages, they're already there. Fixed layout. We launched the first version of the cloud reader for fixed layout, not the fully fledged thing, but we already can give you a one-page view of a fixed layout book since yesterday. And it's not just for manga and comics, and forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly, bande dessinée. It's also about very highly illustrated book, what a medical publisher would do. It's about cookbooks. For some of our publishing clients, that's the biggest category they do for fixed layout. And to our big surprise, children's books. What's the technology behind it? Well, it's not a big secret. We've built it on Readium. very specifically Readium 2. We were sitting there for years thinking about doing a cloud reader, and were never quite comfortable with Readium 1, so we started when Readium 2 reached the stage where we thought we could engage with it. And very specifically, we started with the code base from the New York Public Library for their Simple E project, and took that, upgraded it, and that version that we upgraded is available from October. That's roughly our version 0.5. We're now in version 1.4 by now already. You will recognize the standard Readium architecture here at a very high level, Navigator streamer. We found it necessary to dynamically change books, so we personalized them, second page, end page, with the Rails app. So we take in ebooks as EPUB 2, EPUB 3, but sometimes when we serve them, we dynamically insert the descriptions, the A/B tests, and other things. It's a little bit different to standard Readium, as you may know it. Let me also introduce you a little bit to the guys who actually coded all of this. The Navigator was done by Gemini. Where are you? There he is. Hello. One of our Frenchmen. Half the company is French, believe it or not, despite being an English company. Jeff, French-American, he's responsible for all the data analytics, but also the high availability system. Some of the publishers shoot out 1 million emails in a go, so we have to expect up to 10,000 parallel readers coming in. So the backend system has to cope with that. And Andy, he's responsible for all the streaming side, all the server-related sides of Readium. That was a steep learning curve for us. We launched the Cloud Reader at the Leipzig Book Fair in March with Random House Germany. We actually had an exclusive for the first 2 months. And this month, it's now also gone out with 3 further German publishers, HarperCollins Germany, Drömer Knauer, which is part of the Holzbrink group, and with DTV. More is coming shortly, so over the summer you will see a whole slew of further publishers, and this is a publishing service because it's about marketing, it's about samples. So we are now starting in the UK, you will see it coming out in Spain, you'll see it in the Netherlands, and Denmark and Sweden. France, no comment. Originally, we designed this really as a social media marketing tool, and you give it to publishers and they come up with new ideas. This is a bit strange. Usually we are constantly in selling mode to publishers. Try this new thing, and this time they came back and said, oh, can I use it for that and this and everything? And we were like, really? That's what you want to use it for? Samples has turned out to be a bigger problem for publishers than we expected. So we're doing a couple of projects over summer and autumn for back catalogs with several, for email marketing, so really also on the publisher's own homepage, and in-book marketing, how to put samples at the end of a book to make virality, encourage virality, people to share the samples when they tell someone about a book, but also enable us to measure if people share a book and that we have a quantitative measure, ideally, of virality. One of the most surprising applications of fixed layout for us was in the UK, a lot of publishers put out their sales catalog in PDF, put it in issue, and then send it out as a link. And they don't like doing it that way. And they said, can I use FXL and the Cloud Reader to distribute my sales catalog to all the booksellers? Not something we had thought of. And I had never in a million years thought fixed layout would be used in such a way. Some publishers are putting the samples or complete inspection copies in Edelweiss or VLB-Tix in Germany and looking at booksellers actually reading these books and engaging with them and making a decision based on the content. And while I talked about mostly this is samples, you can use the system to distribute complete books, inspection copies, advanced reading copies. Sorry, Fran, I borrowed your logo here. And it's also about influencer marketing. Giving this link out to influencers and then see, do they actually get people in, sample the book, read it, buy it, share it? Can I quantitatively measure if bloggers, book recommenders, do they have an effect on my bottom line as a publisher? This is about bringing data and analytics into publishing. So the message I want to leave you with is Readium Web, or as we prefer to call it, the Readium Cloud Reader, offers a lot of new opportunities how to use ebooks and reading systems. And if you want a copy of the presentation or links of all the samples or anything else, or become data smart, just drop me an email with your questions, with your inquiries, or I'll take your questions now. I'm here, please.